Hi, it's Nancy with Garden Scroll, and today I'm going to show you some of the July flowers, and we're going to name this Weighty matters in the garden. And so I'm thinking about weight loss. I told you that I was trying to lose a little weight, and little is right, but anyway, I'm not very good at that. But it's kind of a topic that's on every woman's mind, so we're going to talk about that a little bit in the garden today. Look how full this little basket is getting. Isn't that wonderful? That's from all of our rains. I really believe God has watered for me more than I've watered myself this year. And I'm still complaining about the humidity and the heat when I get out here. It's so miserably hot. And my lens is still a little bit fogging over because thankfully it's cooler in the house than it is out here. I want to show you the back side of this little pot. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? That's one of my very favorite colors of coleus anyway, and I normally like it with the lipstick pink Impatience, which I did not put in this particular pot, but I might do that next year because I don't think my little Calabrichoa is doing that well here anyway. I just had to try it though because I love the Calabrichoas too. And I thought I had it figured out that if you give them a little sun but not too much sun, they would like it there. In this type of pot, they do like this type of pot. If you can get them to live at all, that's where you probably want to try it. At least that's where I get mine to grow the most. This little pot is looking good too. And the 4th of July has come and gone, but there's lots of new things blooming in the garden. So this is one thing that blooms in July, the big tall phlox. This one is called Laura phlox, garden phlox, and just one of them makes its own beautiful bouquet. They're so pretty, and they smell nice too. And the beautiful Texas Star hibiscus, or all the hibiscus, usually start blooming sometime in July. A lot of the daylilies are still blooming, and these pretty taller lilies, the oriental lilies, are blooming now. And there's more of the tall garden phlox, which also smells nice and usually has butterflies all around it at some point. And there's more of the tall phlox. I got several of these, a white one called David, a deep purple one called Nikki, and then this one which was called Laura. And my Laura phlox just really did great. The other two are kind of struggling along. They haven't even showed up this year so far. I don't know why some do so much better than others, but this one has just loved being here. And this, of course, is the Monarda, which is still blooming. It's been blooming for a while. And look at this little yellow bloom. That's a tomato. Now this is called a beef master, which is supposed to be as big as a sandwich, a slice of sandwich bread, which you know. There's one, I don't know if you can see it from here, if I can get it focused in for you, but there's one on there that looks like one of the little Tommy toes. So that's pretty much how I do tomatoes. But I usually try because I really love a garden tomato. I noticed yesterday that we have a little nest right up here in this tree, this little redbud tree. I hope you can see it there. And I think it's redbirds or cardinals because there was a male cardinal out here kind of watching over it And I think maybe the little female is sitting on the nest, but I'm not sure. This little beauty, this double salmon orange or creamsicle orange double hibiscus is almost in bloom. I wish it were so you could see how beautiful it is, but we've had it on the post before, so maybe you can look back and see it, or if I can get it on here tomorrow, maybe it'll be open then, or even later on today. Our rains are definitely making everything fill out so wonderfully, and right now there's a gentle breeze and I don't mind being out here, but if you stay out here very long, it's just so sweltery hot. It gets totally miserable, especially if you try to do some garden work out here, which I need to do for sure if I ever get my energy going again. I've been trying to diet a little, and so far that has not gone very well at all. I lost 4 pounds my first week. I stayed on the exact same diet for 5 more weeks, and all I've done is went up and down with those 4 pounds. So I don't think they really wanted to be lost. I think they wanted to be found, or they're playing hide and seek with me. There goes the last one of my pretty little purple with the ruffled edges, the trimmed and yellow ruffle edges that I love, but we'll see it again next year hopefully. And this little hibiscus is blooming this morning. Got 2 blooms on there. Oh, look at this one. This is one of my favorites. It's not a great big bloom, but I just love that little long stamen that comes out and acts like a pendulum coming out from it. Sometimes they actually hang down. They're so pretty. So some of my friends are on the Optivia, I don't even know how you pronounce it, but they're on that diet, and it like consists of 800 to 1,000 calories, and so you don't get to eat very much at all. But they have lost a lot, and they look good, and they feel good. You can tell they do. They have energy. They have a beautiful countenance, just a glow about them, and mine is totally the opposite, so I'm considering going on it, but I just have all kinds of doubts about doing that. I do love the idea though of having more energy. Oh look, this little one that I was telling you has a pretty blue bloom. It's beginning to bloom, it's beginning to open up. Isn't that pretty? I'll be so glad when I can show you this one too, if it ever blooms for me, so you can see those that look like butterflies in flight. And yesterday I noticed that this little, well, I'd actually noticed it sooner, but I took this little one, this little plant is another calabachoa, and I took it from that little empty spot right back there and put it up here closer because I thought it might have needed more sun. But even as I did it, there was a slug in there, and of course I killed the slug, but it looks so terrible, and I know this is from the slugs now. I didn't know what was causing it. It and another little one back here that I didn't go ahead and move, but both of them are doing very poorly, and I'm pretty sure it's because of slugs and snails. I've read that crushed up eggshells can deter them, or gritty sand, something they don't like to crawl across. So I think that may be why the coffee grounds and coffee mixed together, that may be why it's a deterrent, because they don't like to crawl through it. Oh my goodness, I just noticed that my pretty candlestick plant is all the bloom is gone, and some of the leaves are gone. I don't know if that is from a snail, or it could be from the hail, but I doubt it, because it is under the eave of the house, and I doubt if that's from the hail. So I've got to figure out something to do with that little plant today. Talk about plants filling out. This little pot it was almost bare looking, and now it's just sprung right up there, all the little bulbs that were in there, but some of them were ranunculus, and I guess these made such a shade that the ranunculus just faded away and didn't open. I was certainly hoping I would get to see those, but I've been putting all of my bulbs in the same pot. I guess I'm going to have to start a pot particularly for sun bulbs, so that I can take I like them in a pot so I can take the whole pot inside for the winter, because they're not, the ones that are in this little pot are not cold hardy. And I've left this little fuchsia plant out, as well as that pretty little purple plant, and both of them say that they do not like hot weather, so we've had enough rains and cooler weather that they've survived so far, so I keep leaving them out here. But I feel like I need to bring them both inside, because when the heat comes, even in between the rains, it's very hot on them. And I just noticed that I have some new growth on my foxtail lily too. This is another favorite for me. I just remember seeing my friend Oma's when I first saw one, and I'm like, what is that? And then I tried one for the longest time, and I killed one or two, and then I got one that looked scraggly for forever, but it finally began to bloom. This is the same one that looks scraggly for a long time, but it doesn't look so scraggly today. And this is the other little plant that I'm considering bringing inside. I just do so terribly with houseplants, and this is doing so good here. That one little leaf was the only thing left on it, and all these leaves are new, and they look so good, and the purple hairs are coming on it, making the whole plant look purple. It's just a lovely plant. I would hate to bring it in and lose it, because I just do that, lose house plants. But I may lose it out here too, because it does not like to be, actually it said keep it in 60 to 70 degree weather, and it hasn't been 70 degrees except at night for quite some time here. And this is a Cassandra. I saved it, I think 2 years now, the orange. The little green one that goes with the orange anyway, because it's just now blooming. Isn't that pretty? I love it, and I do love that I was able to save it, bring it back out, and it's blooming again. And this is another one that's just really filled out, this little begonia, and it kind of grows more up. And whereas this little, let me move this out of the way a bit, whereas this one down here, this is the begonia that dangles down. And isn't it pretty? Both of them to me are very pretty, and they do so well in this pot. This is up under the eaves of the house. It doesn't get a whole lot of sun at all, and yet it does get some filtered sun, and they just do so well here, and I love it in this pot, so I'll probably try to keep it there as far as doing it again there next year and years to come, hopefully. There's so many things that have just loved the rains so much, and just really picked up and just, oh, how do you say it, when they just get so prolific, when they just fill out and fill out and fill out. Look at that beautiful salmon colored impatient, and look at this mound of lipstick pink. Isn't that beautiful? And then this paler pink here, that's so pretty. And I love this coleus, this dark coleus, trimmed and edged in green, bright lime green. So pretty. This little pot is doing well too, and right down there is where I put that little copper plant that I trimmed off because the hail had beat it all up, and so I trimmed its little leaves down to where they weren't and put them in this pot. You can tell what our heat has done to it. It's looking so bad, but I still think that these will be all right once they get their root. And that one back there doesn't look good either, but once they get a root going, I think they will pick themselves up, and then I can trim that old stuff off of there, and I think they're going to look pretty. I think they're going to come into their own. We'll see. And this is another thing that blooms in July. The beautiful crepe myrtle blooms, and this one is one of my favorites. This peppermint lace, I think is what it's called. Isn't that pretty? Look at this beautiful lily. This is one of my favorite periwinkle colors. I love the little highlight of white. It just really sets it off. Like, these are very pretty, but look how much more it's set off when you have that little dot of white in the center. I thought I would get this little lily one more time from the other side. So for the most part, the garden is pretty much like it was. But those few things that are blooming, and here's my white crepe myrtle. Not much of it is blooming yet, but it probably will fill out later, a little later on. That's a pretty lily there beside it. And then closer to me, this one is almost all gone, but that one little one at the top, and it's looking a bit raggedy, so it won't be there too much longer. Neither, same with this one here. I need to actually take those old blooms off of there. Oh, I just now noticed that my little major wheeler honeysuckle is coming up its pole. You can see it sticking out right there. It's coming right on up there. So it'll take it a while to get big enough to cover this little umbrella clothesline, which is kind of an eyesore right now, but I still think it's a wonderful trellis for well, what I had on it was the trumpet vine, and it looked so good on this. If it wasn't invasive, I would keep it here, but it's just so invasive, that trumpet vine is, that I'm trying to kill out even the little sprigs that are still trying to come up. And I know that honeysuckle can be invasive too, so I'm hoping. This one says it is not, so we will see. And I need to clip back my little white petunias because they're getting overgrown and covering up my little cherub in there. This little basket was full of daisies. It looked so good. And now I need to get out here at some point. I may have to wait till fall just to survive, but I need to divide it and put some of those someplace else so that it'll look pretty again next year. So what I was going for something else that blooms in July, evidently this little plant does. I was looking at it the other day, and all it was this little tan brown thing, and I thought, what is that? Is that some mutant? Is that some surprise in the garden that I don't want there? But I actually planted this here, and I can't think of what it was called right now, but I love it. Just look at that little frilly looking thing. It's so pretty. I wouldn't mind having several of those in the garden. And I did thin some spots of this celosia, but oh my, I need to thin a whole lot more. There's just way too much of it coming up there. And it's getting where I don't have a lot of it, and one of them has grown that much. It's like this one right here. Look at that. It's already that tall. It does have a pretty little plume at the top, or it will have. It's starting it right now. But I don't know that I really want that there either. It's kind of right out in my path, so I'll see what I can do with that. Actually, all I'm doing is just showing you the pictures while I take them. And it is so hot out here. Sweat is dripping in my eyes. I'm having to wipe it out as I go. So, and this is another Philosopher right here. I love these for some reason. They just really catch my eye. Well, you can tell by this one right here what color they are. But when that just fills up on there, and there's so many of them, it is very eye-catching, very pretty. Look, this little allium. It's a small allium. I'm trying to think. I did know the name of it, but I can't think of it. But isn't it pretty? These are things that look like they should bloom at the 4th of July because they look like one of the 4th of July fireworks that burst in the sky. This 9 bark is still fascinating to me. It seems like it has a different color every time I come out and look at it, but it's always got beautiful fall colors just shining. This area right here is where I cleaned out the seedlings and the celosia that was coming up. Oh, and there's another trillium, that little blade thing. It looks like grass right there. Is trillium or Trinity, or has several names, but I need to get that out of there. It needs to be put in a pot so it won't be so invasive. I'm trying to start a hydrangea right here, which this is its first year, so it's doing fine for that. It's just kind of sitting there, but it's putting down its roots. Lots of the time when you think, well, the plant's just sitting there doing nothing, it's putting its root down. Then over on this side, this is another plant, bunch of plants that have just went and went and went. Look at that big old huge Kong coleus. So pretty, but it does have a lot of damage from the hail on it. I probably need to get out here and get that off of there, and then I need to deadhead a bunch of this stuff too. And I honestly think I would get out here and do this if I weren't melting while I'm doing it. I actually enjoy working in the garden, but not when it's so hot that I actually get sick. But this is the damage from hail. I should probably pull those off of there too, so that it can put on fresh, healthy leaves. And I may do that at some point, but it's just so pretty. It's hard to throw it away. Same with this. Look at this beautiful elephant ears, and yet it's got holes all in it from our hail. But really, I'm not complaining. I'm not, because it didn't even destroy any of my garden art. Everything is still looking good, as far as didn't knock a lot down. It took a few limbs off my fruit trees, but that's okay too. And this, what is this? I don't know what kind of plant this is. It's coming up here and over where I have my dahlias, and I probably planted it there or had a plant there and it put down seed. I just don't really know, but maybe when it blooms, and it looks like it may be fixing to bloom before too long, so maybe I'll figure out what I have there then. I'll go ahead and deadhead that one a little bit too. I still love this little pot, even though it's a tiny little thing, and I put those petunias in there and they tried to fall out on me, so I put the rock on there to hold them in from falling out before they got their root down, which they do have their root down now, so I think they're going to do fine. And when they spill out all over the edge and I don't have this ugly old edge on there anymore, I tried to save it from where I could keep water in it, but now I'm just like, that make a good pot where it can drain. And then I put these little succulent in there too. So, and together somehow it just seems to work. We'll see if it'll work very long or not, but I like it. A castor bean is still growing. See how the leaves are changing from that little round leaf to these leaves that are kind of forked on the edges, and the leaves will get bigger and bigger, and then they will turn have a red or purple cast to them, and I think this one is red. They'll still be green, but they will have that red cast that'll just highlight them and make them beautiful. And I had Trillium or Trinity plant in this little pot, and for some reason it died out. I have no idea why, because it's been coming up and just proliferating too much. I've been having to dig it up and throw it away. But since it died in here, I put little starts of coleus in here, and they've already built their root. You can tell because they're not wilty anymore. They're standing up straight. And I love, love, love these little purple impatiens. And I have some pink ones too. I love them all. They're just so pretty. I love these little roses without thorns. And they love it in the shade. Look at this beautiful daylily. And here's some more pretty daylilies. Sometimes I just imagine how beautiful it would be to live in a place where the weather was always nice and you could come out into the garden and enjoy it without melting. You could just sit and swing like this little angel and it never bother you that the sun was beating down upon you. And oh well, while we're talking about filling out, look at this little plant. It's about to cover everything up in there. It's just filling out. I'll actually need to trim this back a little so you can see the little angel in there. I'm going to clip that one off right now because a grasshopper has got to it anyway. Oh, there goes a gentle breeze. And these beautiful screaming orange daylilies are still blooming. I wonder if my friend Ruby's ever bloomed for her, and if she screamed when she saw this big, oh, pretty bloom. And here's some more of the big hibiscus blooms. This is called Lord Baltimore. And there's another another coleus that needs trimming. And I've trimmed this one twice, and it looks like it may soon need it again. I don't mind that they spread out, but I don't like it when they grow up so tall that they cover up all the little decor in the pot with them. Some of my dahlias, they'll soon need staking, I guess. And then right there in with them is some more of that plant I was telling you. I don't know for sure what it is. I at one time had a Joe Pye, the smaller one, which still wasn't small, of course, but I think it's supposed to get 3 feet tall, where the other one gets 5 foot tall and maybe taller. But that may be what this is coming up from seed from it. For some reason, it died out, so I don't know what this is really, but I'm still waiting to see if I can figure that out. More pretty daylilies. Of course, I need to deadhead. Most of my pretty blue larkspur has gone. You can see this one is turning brown everywhere. It's got a few little scraggly blue blooms still on it, but for the most part they're gone, and this one is really still filled out well, but it won't be long to where it'll all be gone too. This is another coleus that has totally covered up the little angel that was in this pot, or that is still in there. You can't see, but I hesitate to clip them until fall or cooler weather at some point, because I probably will clip the ones that I clip off. I will probably put somewhere and let them become a plant in their own right. and just be beautiful too. This is another hibiscus which hasn't bloomed yet, but it won't be too long before it does. And this one's called Copper King, mostly probably because it has that little coppery look to its foliage, but it also has a really pretty little white bloom with some coppery color to it. And I noticed that my red crepe myrtle has begun to bloom. I love this red color, this bright, pretty red. I would love to get out here and deadhead all of this and make it neat and pretty. And look at that rose, for goodness sake. All those old canes sticking out everywhere need to be trimmed down. But in this heat, I'm not going to do it. I actually really quickly, before very long at all, I'm going to go inside where it's cool and enjoy the cooler weather. This hibiscus here, I think I've already told you, but it is also red, but it's more of a maroon red than the Lord Baltimore, which is like a true red, or I say like a tomato red. Oh my, I didn't notice this, that the hail beat this little plate that I have out here, and I usually put some fruit in that for the butterflies, but it's really beat it up. It'll still hold a piece of fruit though. And it looks like most all the blooms are gone from my St. John's wort, but one little last one there to show you what they look like. Has that pretty, looks like a fiber optic top to it. Oh, I went around the front I had a little one of my garden art birds had fallen off, and I was letting the glue dry just a bit so it would hold when I put it back on. And I put that on, and I noticed this. Look at my pretty, I have an orange or two of these. This is a butterfly weed, which is the host plant to the monarch butterfly. So and it's blooming in yellow this time. I think that was there last year, but I don't think it bloomed. So this is its first pretty yellow blooms. So I wanted to come over and show you my orange one too, so you could see the difference in the two colors. And those stupid grasshoppers have dealt treacherously with some of my plants. Look at this chard. And that is not, see if I can get it where you can see it, that is not from the hail, because I clipped off the hail damaged ones, and this is from being shredded and eaten holes in from the grasshoppers. Not good. And this is another little plant I probably should take inside. It's just not liking this heat at all. Most of my plants, my house plants, do much better if I bring them outside, but I think maybe these three little plants are just, I don't know if I could do any better inside though, or else I would definitely take them in. But most of them just do better outside. Like, look at this begonia. This is Polymer Prince begonia from Logie's, and it is just such a favorite for me. I love this little plant, and I know it's just green, but there's just something about it that is just so attracting to me. And I had it down to looking so scraggly when I had it inside, and since I brought it out, it just has done so well. I'm so glad. Let me get this diamond frost euphorbia. It's glowing like little lights in the garden. So this is not the little bird that had fallen off, but I did notice that the one I just put back on has already fallen back off. So I'm going to have to redo that at some point too. I'll probably have to get some type of string or twist tie type thing to put on it to hold it while it's drying. But once you put them on there with that Gorilla Glue, they stay for a good long time once it's dry. Just got to get it to stay on there until it does dry. And I consider, and I'm still considering, naming this post Weighty Matters, because I'm trying to lose weight and having no success in it. With it, and I'm about prone to believe that we're just kind of like Paula Prentice in the Stepford Wives. If we're on a diet and doing well, we just feel like we'd never get off of it. We'll just always take good care of ourselves. But then when we gain the weight, it's kind of like we're two different people. We want to lose the weight. Oh, look, there's that tomato, that little tomato I was telling you about that's supposed to be a beef master. It's going to have a long way to go to be a beef master. But see, that's another thing. Some people are trying to gain weight and can't. So there must be an answer. Somewhere there must be an answer. Why have we not come up with it by now? I just don't know. Because I know that I have... I've lost weight before, but I actually have gained and lost so many times that it's extremely hard for me to lose weight. And my problem is always with maintaining. I used to could lose the weight. Now I can't even lose it in the first place, so I won't have to worry about maintaining it. But that was where I always failed before, was in the maintaining it. I just couldn't seem to get there. So I don't know what the answer is. I know there's a lot to be learned, and a lot that we need to learn, a lot that we need to share. And I'm thankful for the people that are doing their diets and learning about the reasons for our weight gain and weight loss, because usually everybody deals with that at some point in their life. So I'm just hoping that there will be an answer found for it. I know that lots of people deal with it a lot more than others. I feel like I'm one of the ones that have to deal with it a lot more than others, but I know that people that look at me, I've had people to say, well, you don't need to lose that much, that should be easy. But they just don't know how many times I've lost it and how many times I've gained it back, and how hard it was. It was never easy for me. But we'll see. We'll just see. But I'm going to keep thinking on it. That's one thing you need to do. I learned that from Weight Watchers. Never go into a diet with other things. If you're going to quit smoking, it's probably not a good time to start dieting. Although my sister did that, and she did really well with it for a long time, but she's gained some of her weight back too. And so it seems to be a constant struggle, and I just know there must be an answer out there somewhere for people, because as much as people think it's just that they let themselves go and they don't care and they don't take care of themselves and eat right, it's not as simple as that. I can guarantee you that. There are way other reasons for people to be a different size, a larger size, or even for the ones that are a smaller size. But you know, I don't have the answer, so I suppose there's not any use me talking about it right now. But I do think that as we think on things and learn about things, sometimes the answers come. So I'm still hoping that they eventually will come. I'm just not sure that they're there yet, because the people that are on the diets and doing so well, I am happy for them. But I've been there and done that, and I didn't keep it off. I don't know if they will or not. Not that I'm trying to just assume that they won't, because that's really not what I'm doing. I hope that they will. I hope that I will eventually do it too, but I just have to wait and see. I just feel like what I told you, like we're Paula Prentice and the Stepford Wives. We want to be natural. We want to eat what our family's eating. We want to eat what the holiday calls for. You know, there's certain holidays just call for certain things, and we just want all the blessings and the goodness, and we don't mind dieting some, but we don't want that to really be a lifestyle, and it seems like that's what it has to be. And I guess I don't want that. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I still do know that there are answers that need to be found. And if I ever do go on that diet, I may be on here telling you that I'll never go back and I'll always eat like this. But I probably won't, because I know what I've done before. I didn't always eat like the Weight Watchers program part, but part of it was that I was diabetic and I didn't know it. And part of it, when you don't know what's going on, you just do have a tendency to give up, because you've done right, you've done good, it's not happening. So it just makes it hard. But I still the belief the more you try things, the more luck you're going to have with them, because that's the same with the garden. I've tried to grow plants, I've told you before, and they just didn't make it. It just didn't work. And then I got a different plant, or several different plants, and I think that it brought the insects that were needed to pollinate the other one, or something. There was something in all of that that made it all come together, that made me plant that plant again, or made me plant it because I loved it and decided to try again, but that made it work. Something made it work. And I've got lots of different plants started that I couldn't get started the first times that I tried them. So I don't think we should ever just give up and not try. Although I tell you what, when my husband quit driving truck and came in, it was 2 years before I dieted. That's the most I've ever gone in my whole life without dieting. So, and I actually was able to pretty much hold my own, or like I'm holding those 4 pounds I told you I lost. I'm holding them by losing and gaining, losing and gaining, but never quite gaining back the whole 4 pounds. So, you know, and that's kind of how I did, but it was getting to the point I was beginning to feel like I'm going to end up gaining so much that I won't be able to lose it. So anyway, I'm back to trying again, but I'm not on the Optavia diet. I'm just eating less right now. We'll see how that goes. So I think I really am going to go in just a little bit now and get out of this heat and wash my face a bit, get some of the sweat gone. But I wanted to show you one more time this pretty bacopa trailing out of this pot. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, one more thing. I just love it when a pot is scraggly like this, and like this one used to be. Look at this, how it's filled out. I just love to see things fill out and come to their own. Look, remember when I put these 2 little coleus, one on either side of this sign? And now they're just, well, they're not huge, but they're definitely coming into their own. They're definitely looking healthy, and they're definitely adding to this little pot's beauty. And then these pots over here are so full, you cannot really tell. There's 3 or 4 pots there. I'm not even sure I know how many pots are there, because the pots are all covered up from the overgrowth of these beautiful plants, and I just love that. There's that pretty pink impatient I was telling you about that I had in the front.